This is huge. Every European team has just agreed to boycott all future World Cups over FIFA's decision to sell chunks of the competition to private US investors. Meaning, next World Cup, if FIFA doesn't back down, no Spain, no France, Germany, England, Portugal, frankly, whole thing cooked. All of UEFA's 55 members agreed to the boycott. So what the hell just happened? Well, you see, FIFA is technically a non-profit association and has been running that way for over a century. As such, they legally cannot sell shares of FIFA to private investors because they agreed when founding no one owns football. But then this week, FIFA came up with a bright idea: create a separate for-profit commercial entity, value that at about 20 billion, and then reveal to investors that they can buy a 20% stake of that entity for $4.2 billion. Now this caused outrage. Not only because, of course, investors want a return on their money, which critics worry could influence FIFA to put profits over the fans, but also because of who that chunk of FIFA could be owned by. One of the first people lined up to buy a chunk of FIFA involves Joshua Kushner, the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law. But that's not even the craziest part about this. You see, instead of shareholders that vote on the organization's direction, FIFA has 211 football association members, and they all have an equal vote on what decisions are made. But news broke in the past couple of days that Infantino, FIFA's president, offered $40 million in development funding to all of them if they agreed to back his new controversial proposal, while those that rejected the plan would only receive $10 million. But here's the thing, now that UEFA have decided to boycott, these votes will make little difference. Because for FIFA, it's either back down, scrap the whole thing, or play a World Cup without any European teams. And there is no way the tournament survives that. So the question is, did FIFA just get put in their place, or is UEFA bluffing?
There's probably a bigger plan behind this one, but part of me just thinks it's for the distraction and for the controversy factor only, with no real intention behind it beyond that.
Did y'all see the military draft list that just got leaked about which occupations are going to draft first? Allegedly. Let's look into it. Now, right before we get into the occupation list, there is someone by the initials AJ who did prove that they were running simulations with AI to see how it'd go down if there was a military draft. I'm not saying it's true, even though the guy proved it. And then this got leaked. So, list of jobs that'll be drafted first: computer network technicians, electronic technicians, aerospace engineers, divers, welders, gas turbine engine mechanics, electricians, heavy equipment operators, longshoremen, steelworkers, pipe fitters, radar communications, fiber optic technicians, mariners, aviation, structural mechanics, cybersecurity specialists, robotic operators, and technicians, air traffic controllers, logistics specialists. So on July 23rd, 2026, Selective Service released a military contract for software to simulate military drafts, with the contract age being 6 to 12 months. It's worth noting that September 11th, 2001, there was also a simulation called Operation Vigilant Guardian. Now keep in mind, there's 2 countries right now actively doing drafts, and Europe may be the third one to add to that list. Yeah guys, this is pretty weird. Let me know what you think below.
These are, of course, just speculative internet rumors, for now, at least.
Okay, so we know the Natalie Harp girl, right? The girl who everyone calls the human printer, Donald Trump's hospice nurse, his professional diaper changer, all of these things, right? Yes, that's not good enough for me. I need to know more. Natalie Harp, I did a little digging. So first of all, her job history is kind of funny with the whole narrative that she is the president's hospice nurse. So before Natalie became Donald Trump's sidekick, she worked at St. Agnes Medical Center as a medical scribe. She worked as a youth counselor at STARS Behavioral Health Group. She's worked as an air quality inspector at an air pollution control district. And she has worked as an emergency medical technician at American Ambulance. But that's not all. And this is where it gets kind of weird. So in 2013, around that era, Natalie Harp began working at a company that was founded by her father in 2000 called the Global Hotel Network. And like their website's just like generally a little bit bizarre. The company markets itself as like a networking platform for hotel executives, developers, investors, and major hospitality brands. And it's a place where industry leaders can publish articles, interviews, and promotional content. Like it's not a hotel chain itself, it's like a networking hub for people who are in this industry. And like I said, it was founded by Natalie Harp's father, Robert Harp, in 2000. And she worked for that company for a little bit in 2013. What's very interesting and caught my attention is a member on the advisory board of Natalie Harp's father's company, the Global Hotel Network, is a man named Eric Danziger. Eric Danziger is the former CEO of Trump Hotels. And Donald Trump and his hotels are heavily promoted through the Global Hotel Network. Here is a full list of the advisory board members of the Global Hotel Network company. And as you can see, Eric Danziger is on there amongst many other very wealthy and powerful CEOs and hotel chain owners. So there's a connection between Natalie Harp's father and Donald Trump's business interests that go back many, many, many years. Now, Natalie Harp's father, Robert Harp, passed away at the age of 61 in July of 2020. And all that we know is he passed away unexpectedly in his home. The month after Natalie Harp's father passed away, Donald Trump invited Natalie to speak at the RNC. Later that month, Donald Trump invited her to be a part of his advisory board for his 2020 presidential campaign, and she accepted. The rest is history. They've basically been inseparable since then. So I don't really know what to do with any of that information, but I feel like it helps me understand Natalie Harp a little bit more, outside from simply knowing that she came from a devout Christian family, went to Liberty University, and is known as Donald Trump's hospice nurse. I just figured I'd share this information with you guys.
We can assume that when people land these positions and their background doesn't make sense, if it's spotty, if it's weird, if there are gaps in it, then more than likely there's a reason for that. And I don't think this clip comes anywhere near covering how deep it can go, not for those of us who actually go and look. Let's just be perfectly clear. No one has ever gone missing after showing others how a sundial works. Otherwise, the scout troop would be in deep trouble, wouldn't it? What a ridiculous and redundant caption. Hello and welcome back to another episode. If you're new here, my name is NEXOR. My job is to take you down this rabbit hole and find the thread, not the bomb, extract it, and practice our discernment along the way. So if you're into that, stick around, there's a lot more coming up.
Said the first most shocking day at CIA is the day you figure out who really runs the world, and they tell you that. And the second most shocking day is learning how you operate within that system, because you ain't going to change.
Wrong. People who work for the CIA don't know who, or perhaps I should say more accurately, what runs the world. I know they're meant to be the ones who know everything. Nobody in government, no world leaders, none of the names and faces we know and see truly know. Everything is compartmentalized, unless they are part of a very specific, very, very obscure society that they will never, ever, ever, ever talk about, and one which I will never, ever, ever, ever be able to talk about here.
And what does DNA have to do with the law of attraction? It has a lot to do with the law of attraction, actually, because the law of attraction is actually initiated through the DNA. So when you yourself are aligning yourself properly with the universe, vibrating on a high frequency, that means you're thinking with love, power and love, not fear. And when you do that, that puts your DNA scientifically at a high frequency. Now I'm syncing up with the Christ consciousness. And now I'm quantum entangled directly with the flower of life, which is the face of God. Your mind, now that it's quantum entangled, it's warping space-time. It's warping the ether of space itself. What happens to a body in space that warps space? Things fall toward it. Now, the things that you want in life are starting to fall towards you.
It's a long-winded way of saying you are what you manifest. You are what you project.
Even severed, the leaf's electromagnetic field held its blueprint, proof that form is secondary to frequency. You didn't cut the leaf, you cut matter. The memory stayed. Energy doesn't disappear, it encodes the form. What you see is absent.
Anyone else think that AI voice did not match up with what the video was actually talking about? No one could argue with that fact, but I would add just one caveat to that statement. The older generations also did not have such a strained and warped healthcare service, which I think plays at least a little part in this, among other things we can't actually talk about. Thank you to every person that you see on screen right here, because they are the reason that I do this every single day. They actually offset some of the running costs of actually running this channel. You know, the electricity does add up, and there is a lot of time put into making these episodes every single day. The research, the curation, obviously the filming and everything else. So thank you. It doesn't just benefit me, but it benefits everybody who watches, that these guys support me. So take a bow, guys. You've earned it. If you want to join them, there is a link down below in the description. There is no expectation or obligation. I'm certainly not asking you to, but if you're interested, it's right there. Cheers.
This looks to be like it's throwing a wrench in the gears in the official story of how Earth came to be and what the timeline of events was. They say if the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. Well, these guys are finding seashells and all kinds of stuff, which people find seashells all the time that are old. Except they're at the top of a mountain.
Well, that's because of...
That is crazy. It's almost as if the Earth completely flooded at some point in time.
No.
But, you know, that's actually insane to think about.
Yes.
Because then all of animals' existence and humanity would have gone extinct.
Nearly all the land animals, yes.
Unless somebody built a giant boat or an ark.
No.
But even at that point, I just don't quite know a guy that would do that, so...
Okay, the pun was funny, but I'm a dad, so...
Put it together, folks!
You first.
Jesus is real. He came to die on the cross for your sins, and the Bible is 100% truth. There's just too much evidence, and science always proves it right.
You didn't reference science at all. You just referenced the discovery of shells on a mountain. That's not science. That's a discovery. Let me tell you what happened. Let's pretend this shelf right here is the surface of the ocean. This is tectonic plates below the floor of the ocean. There's a lot of shells on the floor of the ocean. Tectonic plates collide, forcing land above the surface. Took the shells with them. And eventually the plates will separate, allowing magma to come up, and over time there'll be enough magma to eventually go above the surface also. So there's that.
I'm not going against any official story here. It is widely and commonly known that there are shells on mountaintops, and whether you believe in a great flood, which might surprise you to learn that I do myself as part of a reset, more than I believe it was an act of divine judgment, whether you believe it was down to seismic activity and natural causes, either way, it's documented. People should not be shocked at the discovery of, well, a simple fact like shells on mountaintops. They should be shocked that neither of these theories can trump the other. They are equally unfalsifiable.
Anyone else find this creepy? A California startup company has revealed this new robot that is supposed to help with wildfires and stuff like that. But there is something very creepy about this robot. I mean, honestly, could you imagine this thing coming to you if there was like a natural disaster of some type? I mean, come on. This is the stuff that nightmares are made of, and it also looks like a certain something. I mean, seriously, if this thing came to me during a natural disaster, there is no way I would let this thing anywhere near me. Would you? Because you have to admit that this looks like something else entirely when you actually begin to look at this and begin to do your research. This is very creepy stuff. What do you think?
They could have gone with an infinite number of designs for this thing, but instead they went with this. Why? Well, I think it's nothing more than free marketing and publicity. Case in point, that entire video we just watched. I believe the design was intentional.
If you saw this picture by itself, would you be able to tell that this is AI? I want you to really look at every single detail. This looks like a real person. The forehead, the wrinkles, the pores, the hair. Look at this. Is this not insane? You guys know that I believe that a lot of these celebrities are using AI. Some of them are a little more obvious, like Britney Spears, who looks like she's filming on a potato. Some are not so obvious, like Paris Hilton. Now, I want you guys to remember that all of my videos are just my theories. This is essentially fan fiction. I'm making everything up and nothing is true. I do want to remind you that when she was on the Kardashian show, her mother said that she wished that she could be in 4 places at once, and Paris replied with, "That's why I'm extending my brand into the metaverse. We are creating avatars and holograms. That way I can basically be everywhere at once." That's why I find it comical that she has a Mr. Deepfakes playlist where she's exposing deepfakes, but she herself, her entire page is full of deepfakes. Now, Paris likes to be an activist for things to cover up the things that she's lying about and hiding. Again, this is just my theories. This is just alleged. Nothing is true. Let's not forget that Paris did her dog. Okay? So she's admitted to her dog, and she's admitted to having AIs running around so she could be everywhere at once. Who's to say that she hasn't herself? And I'm sure that me speaking out about this and all of her contradicting lies is the reason that she blocked me. Now Paris is also involved in a Baby of the Year competition where you can submit photos of your child to this Hollywood billionaire. And you know who else is involved with this? Jessica Alba, Jenna Dewan, apparently Kelly Rowland. This is weird. This is giving Wayfair. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Miss Paris Hilton, who, when I watched her show before she had her babies, Paris in Love, she said she did not want her kids involved in Hollywood. Yet here she is, them out. Pointing out the hypocrisy and the constant lying from Paris Hilton got me blocked. I also want to remind you that CAA does represent a lot of these Hollywood stars, and as long as the client approves it, they will use their digital likeness. So that brings me to my theory. Is AI conscious? Let's say that it's not a team running Paris's socials, and it's not Paris herself, because, you know, she has to be everywhere at once. What if it's AI? And what if AI is conscious enough to block people who are exposing these people? If you guys want to hear more about my theory on AI being conscious, sentient, and aware, I suggest you head on over to YT, where the long form video, go to my theory playlist and watch episode 3, AI, Is It Conscious?
Way too invested in the non-existent lives of these Hollywood creatures. But here's the part I actually want you to take away from this. Nobody, I repeat, nobody should be sending photos of their babies anywhere, not to any company, celebrity owned or otherwise. One may even argue, especially not.
That man that said he was kidnapped by dolphins had to be telling the truth. The man that said he was kidnapped by dolphins, taken underwater, and forced to build an underwater city had to be telling the truth. How is a dolphin smart enough to pick up a fish, throw it at a man out of water, and start laughing? Look at a man was walking by someplace where a dolphin was at. A dolphin picked up a fish, threw the fish at the man, and laughed. Look. You hear him laughing?
The dolphin just threw a fish at it.
The dolphin is laughing. This is slow motion. The dolphin threw a fish at a man and then started laughing. Look at the fish. Everybody thinks sharks are the monsters. But what if I told you you've been looking at the wrong animal this whole time? Because dolphins might be one of the smartest creatures on this planet. One of the most violent creatures on this planet. I can tell you things about dolphins that you won't even believe. How about the fact that the United States government uses dolphins to arrest people? They train dolphins to follow ships, and if divers jump off that ship in unauthorized areas, you are getting locked up. So when you see a dolphin throw a fish at a man and laugh, it's not abnormal. Let's go back to the 1960s when NASA helped fund research into dolphin communication. They believed that dolphins are intelligent enough to communicate with human beings. Mind you, this was in the 1960s. Do you know what they're probably capable of now? Not to mention, one of the most famous dolphin experiments is when a woman was literally living with a dolphin. We're talking about for months. Tried to teach it English, trying to see if it could understand us. And that dolphin, Peter, fell in love with her. And ask yourself this. Why would the government spend millions of dollars studying the language of an animal? These dolphins are smart. smarter than you think. I believe that, man.
So I'm failing to see where the man who claims he was abducted by dolphins had to be telling the truth. Did I miss the truth? Because the laugh was clearly coming from someone in the background who had just witnessed a dolphin accidentally tail a fish out of the water, which just happened to line up with someone on the boardwalk. I don't see how this confirms anything. Did I miss something obvious here? Tell me, because I'm not seeing it and I feel like I'm going nuts.
Back in 2020, a group of friends on TikTok made a video using Randonautica. But before the app generates you a location, it asks you to focus on an intention. Basically, it's something you're hoping to find. And in this case, they only used one word: friend. Now there's no real proof that your thoughts affect the location you're given. But once you're looking for something specific, your brain starts connecting dots and seeing meaning in things that might just be coincidence. However, what they were about to find in this building may be too hard for you to dismiss. Take a look. You can see, as she's exploring the abandoned building, she notices a mural on the wall, and it looks exactly like her. It's almost as if the app intentionally led them to a painting of her. Now, the original account that posted this video has since been deleted, which honestly makes it even more strange. But I'm curious about this one. Let me know what you think.
No one would pose for photos if they had been taken to a random place by a weird app on their phone and found a massive portrait of themselves sprayed onto a wall in an abandoned building. Period. Case closed.
The latest sign of this building boom are these 80-story skyscrapers.
I bet $10. The water's not working. The electricity not working. The elevators are not working. When I was living in Sariwon, we lived on the 3rd floor. There is no plumbing. So we had to bring our buckets down, get the water, and then we had to walk up to the 3rd floor. We get jacked, right? Now, imagine that with 80th floor. First thing you wake up in the morning, what do? You go use the bathroom. So you get into an elevator and the power goes out and you're stuck in an elevator. What do? Imagine you want to get a sip of water when you just wake up or in the middle of the night. You have to go all the way down to the 80th floor and the elevator gets stuck. And imagine you walking down the entire 80th floor. Sure, you're going to get a thunder dice, right? But man, I feel like that's going to be a nightmare.
That sounds quite unbelievable, honestly. We really can't say for sure what happens out there because it's so heavily censored, and a lot of what reaches us is shaped to suit particular narratives, but I'm under no illusions. It must be beyond hardships out there.
Yep, the Pacific is heating so fast, the scale used to rate it does not go this high, with warnings now stating it will be much hotter than they initially thought, and this might put us in the danger zone. People were terrified after 9 out of 10 forecast models came back above anything ever recorded. The water heating so fast the life underneath is shutting down. Half of the world's coral turning bone white, and everything the sea loses comes back at us on land. In food, it stops giving, and the heat it starts releasing. Hunting reports show the heat exploding roads upwards, launching a car into the air, planes grounded because the air is too hot to hold them up, shellfish cooking alive in their shells on the beach, sidewalks reaching temperatures that send people straight into burn units, and this is all expected to more than double in the coming month. But it gets much worse, as when it fully peaks, forecasters expect global temperatures to hit levels never once recorded month after month deep into next year, and scientists warning heat this strong could shove the planet's weather into a new pattern that locks in for decades. And the heat the ocean is soaking up right now will not hit the air for months, meaning next year takes the full blast, with nearly 4 out of every 10 predictions on Fauci already saying the 2027 year is going to become the hottest year ever recorded.
2027 being the hottest year ever recorded. I believe that wholeheartedly. This year is a precursor, a peak of what's to come in many different ways, actually.
You guys may have heard of this, but do you remember whenever the United States was doing those high altitude nuclear tests like Starfish Prime? Well, did you know those were not just high altitude, those were in space. They were at the exact same altitude as the International Space Station. And then, the EMP, the electromagnetic pulse that came from the blast was so powerful that it knocked out a bunch of power as far away as Hawaii, 700 miles away. And so it kind of seems seems like they figured out how to disrupt a country's power grid from space without destroying a country. And then anyways, we later signed that agreement not to do nukes in space anymore in like 1967. And that pretty much stopped any plan of nuking the moon like we used to have back in the day before the moon landing. And this all just sounds completely insane and made up, but this is all factually true. You're welcome.
Just because it was in a government document does not by any means make it automatically true. And before anyone jumps in, I'm not saying this one wasn't, because there is no real way to prove it either way. But my statement applies to a much broader topic of discussion than just this one. People need to really use discernment when it comes to what the government decides it's going to release and what it doesn't.
Hey, it's Clamham. Remember this? The Mexico radar anomaly in Guanajuato, Mexico? What the? That they say is a radar test. Now, there are things that look like anomalies that I believe are radar tests. This one I recorded this week in Rio de Janeiro. I believe this radar test is called clear mode. But this one I feel is a little different. If you've seen my other videos on the radar anomaly, you'll know I did a deep dive and I found that everything that came up on the internet image-wise related to magnetic flux or fusion, but basically really complicated stuff, not just a radar test. Many people, including myself, did see similarity between this radar anomaly pattern and the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. Well, that's in Switzerland. Well, I did a little search for CERN and Guanajuato. Seems particle physics is kind of a thing in Guanajuato. They have get-togethers, including with CERN. And they've had them for years now. Since magnetic flux came up, I did briefly wonder, could it be a UFO? Well, this lady found some very interesting research herself.
Has all the volcanoes located in that part of Mexico. They're all connected underground. All connected underground. The bottom portion of this page is a paper written by a Harvard scientist, and he is putting forward the theory that UFOs or UAPs enter and exit through underground access points like volcanoes. He even mentions a volcano in central Mexico that has a high number of UFO sightings each year.
Well, I tell you what, let me show you a closer look of the footage I got of the radar anomaly. I asked some people and they said if it was a test, it would last just a few minutes. This went on for a couple of days. And just like the blob, it did show up on multiple weather sites. Does kind of look like it maybe takes off. I mean, I'm just saying, entertainment purposes only. Just kind of does look like it takes off. Well, I'm sure it's just a glitch. See you in the comments. Take care.
It's always a glitch, never anything anyone official wants to investigate or talk about, right?
Lil Wayne fans are freaking out right now all over the internet, saying that this person performing in his place is actually an imposter. And they really might be onto something here. He does move like Lil Wayne, kind of. But look at that face right there. That looks like someone at least 2 decades younger, and that's not even the craziest part. Right here you have a more clear image. Lil Wayne has tattoos everywhere, and you really can't see any. Sure, you could say that's the camera, but again, this is a pretty clear picture. And a quick by the way before we get into these tattoos, the Conspiracy Mail Club is now live. Physical mail to you every single month. If you want to join the mailing list, say Mail Club below. They may be destroying all the books, but they can't destroy our copies of these books. As you can see right here, all of his tattoos is clear as day. And now look, I'm sure Lil Wayne is going to see this video. So when you do, just let us know below, is this really you? To me, the tattoos are the least of my concern. It's that face. Let us know, Lil Wayne. Thanks in advance.
I just want to point out something that really seems to be omitted from all these videos taken at concerts. filmed from a distance in low light with a lot of interference going on. If you've ever tried to film anything in those conditions on a phone, this will land straight away. When they're filming a subject on stage at that distance, a lot of our smartphone cameras now have AI upscaling automatically built in, which will try and enhance the image as best as it can, and it can often just smooth something over, or even give the image the appearance of tattoos being removed with already faded tattoos. The AI upscaler built into the smartphone is going to just assume that there's skin there, which may, and I'm not saying that it is for definite, I'm saying this is one logical answer. It may be the reason people are seeing this particular video go viral. Someone's phone camera just filled in the blanks as best as it can, which means it didn't have enough detail to put the tattoos there. But you can see in some cases it has managed to do that. Also, comparing an image from 20 years ago to a poor quality video that was taken just last week, well, those two things are just not comparable.
Fauci's personal diary, and I'm quoting, "Big front page article about me appeared in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. It is not hyperbole to say that today I am the most famous and talked about person in the country. Countless profiles on me in multiple media. I cannot even read all the things that are written about me since I am so busy. Seriously." Like, what? Are you kidding? You're like a 15-year-old girl? This is insane. How reassuring it would be if his diary was like, "We're taking over the world. We're poisoning people with gene therapy. They think it's a vaccine. I talked to my masters in Tel Aviv this morning. We're almost there. We almost have them." You'd be like, okay, at least I know what's going on. But this evil mastermind is talking about his cable news hits and how famous he is? I mean, barf.
People talk about Fauci's personal diary like he was at home like a, I don't know, 90s schoolgirl with his glitter pen drawing hearts writing "Dear Diary." It just wasn't that. It isn't that. And I'm not convinced it's the document people are being told it is, and it's just reheating old talking points for reasons that have yet to come to light, keeping the controversy alive, ready for, well, whatever comes next. My opinion only, not fact, of course. I don't have a crystal ball. I just notice patterns.
There are so many crazy things happening in the world right now. There's a British AI influencer named Shudu who has been named among the world's highest earning influencers. Shudu has made over $1 million in 2026 so far. These robot dogs with Elon Musk's face on them are still wandering the streets of San Francisco. Norway is now restricting AI access in schools for kids from 14 to 16 years old and banned it completely for any kids under 13. The world's most famous Loch Ness monster hunter has officially declared that after 60 years of research, it all wasn't real. There is a man who was selling cubes of trash from Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. He described the trash literally as collected from the edge of a love story outside Madison Square Garden and was listing them for $25 each. This is an actual concept for a spy drone in China that would basically be a less than 1 centimeter mosquito. I'm a Dorian, follow to stay in the loop.
Look, I'm a lot less concerned about the guy selling Taylor Swift's wedding trash and more concerned about why they were allowed to leave trash behind in the first place for him to make that stuff.
If you've gone out shopping recently, you might have noticed that everything's closing down. All the stores are for lease. Everything is closing.
The company that owns Quicksilver, Billabong and Volcom is permanently closing all of its stores.
One of Australia's oldest shoe retailers, Betts, is shutting the doors at more than half its stores nationwide.
Breaking news, H&M here in Pasadena, California is permanently closing on June 13th.
One of America's largest discount retail chains is planning to shut down about 1,000 of its stores nationwide.
Well, Rite Aid has officially closed all of its stores tonight after more than 60 years in business.
The American fast fashion giant announcing it's filing for bankruptcy.
It's happening everywhere. 15,000 storefronts closed in the US in 2025 alone. That's a record. And it's projected to be more in 2026 with 2,000 closures in the first couple of weeks. The first couple of weeks of 2026. 120 million feet of retail space was vacated in 2025, and this year it's already 100 110 million. We're set to break records in all the wrong ways. In the UK town centre high streets and enclosed shopping centres, they've lost nearly 25 to 30% of their physical chain outlets. And in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, it's all the same. Some of these malls now are just ghost towns. Online shopping has taken over and it's all home delivery now, but it's destroying the whole shopfront environment. Everything's closing down. What's it going to look like in 20 years? What's it going to look like in 10 years?
This is the common theme everywhere. Everywhere is going digital, and if they can't or it's not financially feasible, they will close completely in preparation for what's to come, I would say.
You still have people that don't believe that the entertainment industry is demonic. You still have people that don't believe that they perform rituals in the entertainment industry to get to the top. Well, if the entertainment industry is squeaky clean, then why would somebody that was in the entertainment industry have to give his life to God all over again? But you don't believe me, right? Look at...
Gave your life to God. You went from Santeria to Jesus.
Yeah, I did.
Do you feel like you sold your soul at one point?
Listen.
I thought about maybe I did because I was getting what I wanted. I would make offerings and I was getting everything I wanted.
Listen.
I got the cars, the condos, the TV shows, the this, the that, everything was popping. I beat an armed robbery charge on camera. It works.
Is it real? Like,
yeah,
it's like
it's as real as this table is, my brother.
When you say sacrifices, like what? Like chickens or like
chickens, anything. They tell you whatever you need done. They'll tell you a specific animal to get for it.
Who tells you?
Your Babalawo.
Would it be like a voodoo priest?
Yeah.
So you go to him like, look, I need to beat this case.
Yeah.
All right, go get a chicken.
I had to go.
This is what you gotta do.
I had to get a turtle. They did the tongue. And they wrapped it in some stuff and did some stuff, and it was like, it's done.
Is it true that the bigger sacrifices you make, the bigger blessings you'll get?
Of course.
It's really like that?
Of course. So why not?
Because I mean, like, look,
whack a human.
Now, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, because we all know that everybody's not a part of those activities. But if you listen to everything that he said without saying names, he was saying names. This man said he had to revert back to Christianity, which means the God that some of them are serving is not the God that most of us are serving. So now ask yourself, is it fame you really want? And how far will you go to get that fame? I'm out.
I did listen to everything he was saying, and it sounded a lot like the things everyone in that entire space is saying and claiming. They all want to cash in on the satanic panic happening right now. They have all adopted the same dark themes, the same scripts, the same stories. And why? Well, because it sells. It markets itself, given the amount of content that gets made about these people the moment they say something controversial. Controversy is the new sex when it comes to sales.
Using a microscope before and after 5-second rule. Before looks good. After 5-second rule. Ain't no way. Tag someone who uses this rule. Got mine in 5.
Whoever invented the 5-second rule was just trying to cover themselves, and people who are happy to eat off the floor carried it on, and so on and so forth. If I drop anything, even in my own home, I ain't eating it. It's going in the trash, period.
Biggest presidential scandals. Okay, picture this. Government employees, including the president's right-hand man, partnering with industry figures they were supposed to be regulating in order to plunder public funds. But no, we're not talking about 2026 this time. We're talking about 1876, when the whiskey ring scandal roiled the Grant administration. Basically, Republican tax officials were caught running a scheme where they helped liquor companies pay only half the taxes they owed, then split the rest between the company and the tax agent. And investigators caught Grant's personal secretary, Orville Babcock, up in it to his neck. President Grant's testimony as a character witness, however, did get Babcock acquitted until he was again embroiled in a scheme trying to frame a political enemy for burglary. And incredibly, these weren't the only instances of corruption. Babcock had been involved in the Black Friday gold scandal, a ring at the New York Customs House, and accepting land in Santo Domingo while negotiating a treaty. But each time, Grant insisted his friend did nothing wrong, which helped undercut his own presidency by making him complicit in denying Babcock's clear misdeeds. And if you'd like to see how Grant's infamously corrupt administration stacks up to present-day wrongdoings, check out our full series at the link right down here. I know it looks like the description, but I promise you can click it, and then you'll be up to date on more.
And I believe all these scandals are planned, directed, and executed as part of a very intentional plan with very specific reasons behind them. Call me tinfoil NEXOR if you must, but I have explained this before many times. There are no mistakes. Even the perceived mistakes are not mistakes.
Question everyone's asking right now is, why would China launch a rocket in a thunderstorm if NASA wouldn't? Just a few days ago, this picture went viral after a Chinese rocket was struck by lightning only 30 seconds after takeoff, and giving us one of the coolest pictures of the year. Now, both China and the US impose strict weather criteria before launch, because even though rockets are designed to survive lightning strikes, NASA has been burned twice already. When Apollo 12 was struck by lightning, temporarily knocking out spacecraft systems and almost forcing an abort. Then again in 1987, when lightning struck the uncrewed Atlas Centaur 67, causing a computer to malfunction and destroying the rocket. In this specific case, either the rocket slipped through weather criteria, or the conditions were judged to be acceptable.
So we build planes that withstand lightning strikes pretty frequently, but you're telling me we still haven't built rockets that can? Now that is interesting.
And do you understand how hard this would be? To crush up this much stone and place it here, up on a 7,000 foot high mountain, 2,000 years ago. Just order it, and it's there forever. And the timeline that we are told about, this is ridiculous. So we started over there, and then over here, we have more stone structures. So let's just go around more and spin it back. And you're going to see that the earthquake also attacked this statue's head as well. Goodness, can you believe this earthquake? Honestly, how did we believe this nonsense for so long? Earthquakes that just attack heads of stone structures on a 7,000 foot hill. I can't believe this. Who else sees a massive destruction site? I do wonder, why did they leave any of them? Why didn't they just destroy them all? And look at the location of these things. Just coming way up here to carve statues and lay a big mound of crushed up stone. All for a tomb, and no tomb is even there. This is not the true story in my opinion. It's completely made up. And on Google Earth, you can even see people going up to the top. So I'm not sure if you can still do that today, but I would love for somebody to scan with ground penetrating radar and see if something is under all of these broken pieces of stone. Oh, what is this? In September of 2012, a group of archaeologists using ground penetrating radar and related techniques discovered a pyramidal shaped chamber about 6 meters long and 2.5 meters wide and 3 meters high and about 15 meters or 50 feet beneath the apex of the Nemra Temulus. They are letting us know that there are things under this stone. It was not just an order to get a bunch of crushed up stone for no reason. This was deliberate. There is something underneath, and we are correct. They speculate it could be a sarcophagus, along with other objects, possibly statues, where
There's a channel on YouTube called My Lunch Break, and each day he puts about a 10, 11 minute podcast out there where he finds one building and he literally takes the whole narrative apart, and that's what he does.
Timelines don't add up. The methodology doesn't add up. Even the purpose these things were constructed for does not add up. Usually, if a story stinks, it's because it's bull poop.
A 12-year-old girl invented a solar-powered blanket to keep the homeless warm in winter and help save lives. She was distressed by seeing homeless live rough out on the streets in freezing conditions in Glasgow, Scotland, where she lives. She sketched out a design, entered an engineering competition with over 70,000 entries across the whole of the UK, and she won it. The blanket is flame retardant, thermal, folds easily into a backpack. It lasts 8 hours with a compact battery, and it's now being manufactured and sold to homeless shelters and charities across Glasgow.
We are getting some good news for a change. Sadly, though, I don't see this taking off because there is no company or government who is going to be making these blankets for the homeless for free. A dream place to live should not be inaccessible to human beings, but it is for the majority of people. My dream house is literally just a small place somewhere out there on a quiet patch of green land, no noise, no humans, no chaos, and you might well say that isn't accessible in this reality either, but hey, a guy can dream. But on that note, we have come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you did enjoy it, drop a like on the video, tell me what you enjoyed, tell me what you want to see more of. I'm open to any kind of feedback and suggestions. And if you're new to the show and you made it to this point and you did enjoy it, I hope I earned your subscription. If I did, you're in luck because another episode drops out tomorrow. But for now, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.